Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back. This is Friday, the 26th of February's English lesson. Can I write the beginning of our story map? So we've been learning our story map slowly as we go along. Just the first paragraph for now. Next week, we'll bring the next few paragraphs. And what we're going to do now is we're going to see whether we can get it written up using the story map to help us. So you're going to need your listening aids, your magnet eyes, your pencil, and some paper. So let's recap telling the first paragraph. So we had... Now, I believe we've got the grand, that's G, so we got grand, and then 3 ma, so grandma, because it's like grandmum, okay? So this is how we're gonna learn it. Sorry, I didn't tell you this one in the last one. So it's grandma was helping Katie. Now that's one finger up, and you make a bit of a K-looking thing, okay? So that's your macaton. So you got grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. And then this is our speech. The rain will make everything grow, said Grandma delightedly. What shall we do now? Said Katie. Grandma, who loved art, so you could have something like who loved art, suggested that they go to an art gallery. Now we could have this as being gallery as being the art frames, okay? So it was Grandma, let me see if I go side it. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. The rain will make everything grow, said Grandma delightedly. What shall we do now? Said Katie. Grandma, who loved art, suggested that they go to the art gallery. So that is our first part of the story map. We've now got some actions to go with it. It's going to help us. So you can practice those a bit. I'm going to model right in the beginning of the story map. So using this, I've got my pen connected up. So we've got our title, Katie and the Sunflowers. So you might need to write that there. I'm not going to write it on because I'm just going to start modeling the paragraph to start us off, the introduction. Okay, so we're going to start off with, first it was Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. So we need capital G for somebody's name, and it's the beginning of our sentence. So it's Grandma. So Grandma was helping Katie. So if I've got enough space, it's a long sentence, this. Was helping Katie. Katie, another name of a character, needs a capital letter. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden. Now notice how I'm trying to make every single letter exactly the same size because it's making it more consistent. Grandma was helping Katie plant some seeds in the garden when it started to rain. It started to rain. That's the end of my sentence, okay? Now, from the end of my sentence, I then need to put a full stop. The next part of my sentence is here. So it starts off with a 66. That tells me somebody's speaking. Now, what was Grandma saying? She said, the rain will make everything grow. So, capital letter, start of our sentence. Even though there's punctuation before it, it's the start of our sentence. The rain will make everything grow. Now, because we haven't said who's speaking here, the way that we end our speech is that because it's just the end of a sentence, she's not shouting, it's not a question, so we don't need a question mark, we don't need an exclamation mark, so we need a comma, because we can't put a full stop because we haven't said who's speaking. We only put a full stop when it's the end of the sentence. Because we haven't said who's speaking at the beginning, we need to say who's speaking at the end of the sentence, which means we need a comma to split it up. So, the rain will make everything grow, comma. We then need the end of our speech, which is 99. Then we need who was speaking. So it was said grandma. Again, capital letter for grandma, even though it's in the middle of a sentence, it's a character's name. Then we need our full stop. The next point is, what shall we do now? Oh, hold on. Have I missed something? Said grandma, I've missed this. I've missed the adverb. What did grandma say? How did she say it? She said it delightedly. So I need to add in that word delightedly. Delight, using the I fly high sound. Delight, ed, so ed, delighted, and then it's a ly word with an ly. Now I can put my full stop. Next, I then go to this part of my sentence. Okay, so then I need to start it. So I'm just going to extend my page so we get a few more lines, okay? Okay, so I've extended my page now and we're ready to move on. So I've put my marker here to tell me where I'm at. So I'm now going to start off again with my 66 to start off somebody with some speech. Then it's, what shall we do now? Capital letter to start off my sentence. What shall we do now? Oh, what shall we? Well, it's probably easier if I press redo and then just rub that last bit out because I was doing the wrong now. There we go. What shall we do now? Now, we don't put a comma there. We put a different type of punctuation because it is a question. So we need a question mark. What shall we do now? Question mark. Now, that question mark is kind of pretending a little bit to be a comma because we haven't said who's talking. And it's not grandma because we've started a new line and we've got a capital letter to continuing on. So what shall we do now? We're going to then need to put our 99 in here. But then what we need to do is we need to say who is talking. And this is said by who? Who's it said by? It's said by Katie. Katie. Now, what shall we do now? Said Katie. Now we're on our final sentence. So we need to put a full stop at the end of that sentence and start our new sentence with a capital letter. Grandma who loved art. Now, what's after grandma? There's a comma because it's saying extra information in between the sentence, because it could say grandma suggested that they go to the art gallery, and that makes sense, but we've added extra information by putting a comma in saying grandma, comma, who loves art, comma, suggested that they go to an art gallery. So grandma who loves art, so I need to add that in, who loves art. And then because it's extra information, I put a comma there again because we're at this point here. Then it's the next point. Suggested that they go to the art gallery. Suggested. That's another way of saying told or said, do you fancy doing that? So let me just write that suggested a little bit neater. Suggested. Go. And then another go. And then suggest, and then id, past tense, so we add the ed on the end. Grandma who loves art suggested that they go to an art gallery. Now this is important. I can't put to a art gallery because you can see we've got two vowels next to each other. And in the English language, you can't have two vowels next to each other. You must have a letter that's not a vowel. So you call it a consonant. So you've got, they go to an. And now you can see that there's not, the A's are not next to each other in two different words, which means you can have that. That makes sense. So they suggested that they go to an art and then gallery. Out of the way, gallery with a y. And then it's a full stop. And there we've written out our full first paragraph, our story map. It's a long one, and I know you've been listening really carefully, but it's really important to make sure that we get in those right speech marks. We get in who was talking, the dialogue by saying who said what, and we maybe add in some extra information like grandma, who loves art, suggested they go to an art gallery. Right, this is your challenge for today. Challenge 1. Zazu can what? Zazu can what? Zazu can what? Let me make the page a bit smaller. There we go. So what is Zazu doing? Is he pulling? Is he jumping? Is he sniffing? So Zazu can pull, Zazu can jump, Zazu can sniff. You need to choose the one that fits right and write out the sentence with a full stop and making sure those capital letters are in there. Challenge 2. Complete the sentence starters. So I've said, Grandma and Katie were. What were they doing? Now you can push yourself as much as you like in this one. You could say something very simple like Grandma and Katie were in the garden. You could say something like Grandma and Katie were planting seeds in the garden. You've expanded it out. You've made that sentence much, much better. Let's see what I get back. And then the next one was, then it started. They decided to. And I need you, challenge 3s, to write the beginning of the story map. So what I've modeled, and I need you to include speech marks to show when a character is speaking. Use adverbs. I've given you some extra adverbs to help you. Remember, adverbs are words that usually end in an ly. Joyfully, delightedly, excitedly. That's everything for our English lesson today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.